Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Kano Tryharding Modern. Today, we're going to be playing humans. There's one budget consideration I've made for this deck, and that is I don't have 4 Auriok champions. I only have 1, so I've replaced 3 with 3 core Firewalkers. Hopefully that will approximate that card. So we're not playing absolutely full power, but we have the whole main deck, we have the rest of the sideboard, and hopefully that will be enough to get a good sense of how this deck is in the metagame right now. So, for those of you that don't know what Humans is a deck that's kind of like the old Allies aggro deck, where your main beaters, Champion of the Parish, and Thalia's Lieutenant get 1/1 counters whenever you play a human. Thalia's Lieutenant grants 1/1 counters to a bunch of other humans. We play Thalia to try and slow down non-creature spells out of our opponent. Can randomly hose some combo decks. Luminarch Aspirant, beginning of combat, put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. This can be good. It can help protect your creatures from Bolt. It's just more 1/1 counter shenanigans. And Phantasmal Image to clone our lieutenants or champions or whatever else we think is probably going to be valuable on... Wow, my brain just completely shut off. We can clone other cards that we think are going to be valuable against our opponent. So, like, we have Kitesail Freebooter and Meddling Mage. Kitesail Freebooter being a temporary duress on a body that is also a human. We can use Kitesail Freebooter to get a sense of our opponent's hand, and then play Meddling Mage and turn off whatever else is in their hand, and be a very disruptive aggro deck. In the 3-drop slot, we have General Kudrow as another Lord. It also has a Smite the Monstrous effect stacked on it, as well as some Grave Hate. We have Mantis Rider for just some general flying beats and haste creature trying to sneak in some damage, and Skyclave Apparition to answer problematic permanents, as well as Reflector Mage to bounce creatures and prevent our opponent from recasting them for a turn if we go up against another creature deck. So out of the sideboard, we have Core Firewalker / Auriok Champion, which is life gain and protection from red. We have Magus of the Moon, which is a human that can also hate out a lot of the like Uro Omnath crazy land shenanigans decks. 2 more Skyclave Apparitions, 2 Collector Oofs for anti-artifact stuff, Plague Engineer in case we go up against something tribal or tokens, and 2 Dismembers. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and take this into a Constructed League and see how we do. Make sure I'm queuing up with the right deck here. So, to appease the YouTube algorithm, I'd like to remind you that if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We're trying to make it to 1,000, and we just hit 700, and I'm super excited about that. And leaving a like and dropping a comment if you like this video. I would really appreciate the assistance, and yeah. Also, deck list and link to our Discord is in the description, as well as a link to my Twitch. I stream over there Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays, though the last few have been earlier than that. And this looks like a pretty good beatdown hand, so we're going to keep it. So I'm probably going to go Champion into Champion Noble. Follow that up with a Thalia's Lieutenant or a Mantis Rider. Street Wraith, Goblin Guide. Interesting. We draw General Kudrow, play Ancient Ziggurat, play Champion, pass the turn. So we are against some kind of aggro deck, and it's probably Zoo. Maybe not. Could just be like a janky burn deck. Okay, opponent Lava Darts Champion, which is unfortunate for us. Okay, we draw Cavern of Souls. So Cavern, name human. We're still going to go with 2 humans this turn, even though this could just get Lava Darted. If my opponent wants to sack a mountain when they're at this low of lands, hopefully they don't have a lot of lands. We can kind of choke on. They can kind of choke on their lack of mana. Okay. They did not Lava Dart the Champion. I would like to draw another 2-drop. That way I could play 2 2-drops next turn, unless my opponent kills Noble Hierarch, which is a possibility. Lava Spike our face, sure. This is the matchup where we really wish we had Auriok champions rather than core Firewalkers. Opponent Lava Darts down Noble Hierarch. Okay, they're down to 1 land. They go to combat, they attack. We draw an unclaimed territory. Do we block a Goblin Guide? I don't think we do. We're going down to 6, which is double bolt range. Oh gosh, what is this? Become immense? Wow, okay. Well, that explains that. So we could have technically survived there had we blocked, but we weren't drawing anything useful. So, okay. Versus mono red aggro. I think we bring in the Skyclave Apparitions. We bring in the Core Firewalkers and Auriok Champion. I'm going to go down Luminarch Aspirant, because I think it's just too slow here. I've still got to cut 4 cards. Phantasmal Image could be good. General Kudrow strikes me as good. Same with Reflector Mage. I think I'm actually going to cut a couple of Mantis Riders, and like a Meddling Mage or 2. So I think we're going to try it like this. Maybe we need an Aether Vial hand versus our opponent's deck. Lava Dart is a huge problem for us because a lot of our initial plays have 1 toughness. So, something to be aware of. Alright, this hand seems good. We'll keep. Play Cavern, name Human. Play Aether Vial. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent starts Mishra's Bauble. So if they're playing Become Immense, that probably means they're playing Mutagenic Growth as well. They fetch up a basic mountain. They get to draw a card. Aether Vial ticking up to 1. We draw Mantis Rider. Play Unclaimed Territory. Name Human. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent untaps. They crack Wooded Foothills. And get a Stomping Ground. And they play a Tarmogoyf. Okay. So we untap. Aether Vial ticking up to 2. Play a Plains. So if I could play Thalia's Lieutenant and Vial in Reflector Mage in response, I could have Thalia's Lieutenant be a 2/2. But considering that I can't do that, I think I'm just going to Reflector Mage, bounce Tarmogoyf here. Pass the turn, and we'll leave up Vial, Thalia's Lieutenant, in case my opponent tries to bolt. And if not, we can just do this on the end step. Okay, opponent cycles a Street Wraith after floating a red mana. Plays a Soulscar Mage. And then Flame Slashes. Okay. Well, even Vialing in Thalia's Lieutenant doesn't do anything, so we're just going to let that resolve. Opponent plays a Stomping Ground tapped. So does Flame Slash change anything? I don't think it does. I think we're going to Vial in Thalia's Lieutenant just to put in the most pressure we can. No value on the Anthem Pump, which kind of sucks, but Aether Vial ticking up to 3. We get a Core Firewalker. So I'm going to, I think, Skyclave Apparition and play Firewalker here. Which means I have to Cavern on Soldier, I think. Play Skyclave, take out the Soulscar Mage. Play Cavern, name Soldier. If this was an Auriok champion, it would have been better because it would have pumped Thalia's Lieutenant. So we are seeing a little bit of an issue with our budget consideration. But it is the next best option to my knowledge, so F6, because we don't have any instant speed interactions of any kind. Opponent plays a Tarmogoyf. We untap. Say no to Aether Vial. Draw Thalia. Play Thalia. This should prevent my opponent from casting anything, unless they cast it right now. Okay, they're going to Lava Dart Thalia's Lieutenant, so we're going to Vial in Mantis Rider. Pumping the Thalia's Lieutenant, so it survives the damage. Now my opponent would have to sack a land if they wanted to Lava Dart down the Lieutenant. Otherwise, they've missed their opportunity. They may still, just to deny us blockers or something. They do. Okay, I'm going to always yield to Core Firewalker. Okay, Thalia's Lieutenant down. Go to combat, hit them for 3 in the air. And if my opponent attacks with Tarmogoyf, I will probably just chump with the Skyclave. Actually, I'm not going to because we're at such a high life total. 2 mana for a Lightning Bolt. They kill Mantis Rider to stop our consistent source of damage. Aether Vial not ticking up. We draw an Ancient Ziggurat. And now we're kind of dead in the water. I'm going to hold on to this Ancient Ziggurat and make my opponent think I may have a Vile trick of some kind. We don't need the mana for basically anything, so there's no downside to doing this. Opponent attacks for 5, no blocks. Take 5, go to 18. Second Tarmogoyf. Okay, well I'd like to draw Reflector Mage, Skyclave Apparition, or Phantasmal Image. I mean, Firewalker doesn't really do what I want it to, but I will play it. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Heck, even getting a Silent Clearing or one of the other sack lands would be good here. Opponent attacks for 5. No blocks. So if they have a Become Immense, it's going to be a lot of damage, but... Actually, if they become immense, they're they're probably going to shrink their goyfs a lot. Because we only have creatures in the grave. They have the lands, the artifact, the creature, instant, and sorcery. So become immense doesn't really do a lot for them here. I mean, I'm sure that the damage calculation is still positive unless my opponent really isn't paying attention, but they have decided against it. They've changed their mind again. Alright, we take 5. We go to 13. Okay, well, I'd like to draw anything at this point. Aether Vial staying on 3. We get a Noble Hierarch, which can be an effective chump blocker. Alright, pass the turn. 2 red mana. Opponent Lightning Bolts Thalia. Always yes. Okay, we gain some life. Opponent untaps. They go to combat, they attack for 10. I will chump one of them, although I think a Teamer Battle Rage kills us if they've got that. Okay, we go down to 10. This is a Hooting Mandrills? Yep. Okay, so they've got a 4/4 with Trample. And then they pass. We untap. Aether Vial, gonna stay on 3. We draw. Unclaimed Territory. Play Ancient Ziggurat. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Bauble. Lava Spikes us, which we take 1 damage from. Yeah, I think my opponent's deck is a pretty good matchup for us, because they have a lot of really cheap removal. Yeah, I'm going to concede, because we basically can't survive another Bolt. Opponent's deck was a pretty good matchup for them, pretty bad matchup for us, because in addition to a bunch of cheap removal that deals with most of our early plays, they also had creatures that were larger earlier, so we never kind of achieved that critical mass. We never really got the disruptive cards early, and Core Firewalker and the other one that I can't remember the name of right now, the one that I replaced, Auriok Champion, both of those are protection from red, and my opponent's threats were green, so just kind of the way it is. I could have saved a Skyclave Apparition to deal with a Tarmogoyf, and I probably should have if I thought about it, but I didn't. So, I'll see you guys in round 2. Alrighty, round 2, here we go. Well, it's an Aether Vial hand, but we're not really doing anything until turn 3. I probably should mulligan this, but I'm going to keep, basically because it's easy to cast Phantasmal Image with this hand. Well, that, and we also can cast Aether Vial. We don't have to... It's not like an Ancient Ziggurat only hand or something. Opponent starts Mountain, Soulscar Mage. Okay, they mulled to 5. Play Island, Aether Vial. Pass the turn. Alright, it would appear to be Blitz. And red, Lava Dart. There's the dreaded Lava Dart. Light up the stage. Alright, so this is strictly mono red. We untap, Aether Vial ticking up, draw Horizon Canopy. Alright, plain Ancient Ziggurat, pass the turn. I could clone Soulscar Mage, but I'm not going to. Opponent plays a Mountain out of exile. I play a Gitu Lava Runner. This means they're probably playing Wizard's Lightning as an additional bolt. Another Lava Dart. And Skewer the Critics. And my opponent is out of ammunition. They hit us for 5, we go down to 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, there's nothing we can do about that. We go to 2. We're dead to basically everything. So, Aether Vial ticking up. We draw an unclaimed territory, which we will play. And the question is, are we playing Reflector Mage or are we playing Skyclave Apparition? And I think we're playing Skyclave Apparition, so we'll name Spirit. Play the Apparition. Phantasmal Image, Skyclave Apparition, take out the other creature. Pass the turn. We're dead to every Lightning Bolt variant except Skewer. Alright, opponent does nothing. We untap, Aether Vial up to 3. We draw Cavern, play Cavern, name Human. White, red, blue. Mantis Rider, Violin, Mantis Rider. Attack our opponent for 10, and if we dodge one more draw, we kill our opponent. Lava Dart. Lava Dart. Yep, that does it. The flawless victory for our opponent. Winning with no cards on the battlefield. Alright. Auriok Champion, Core Firewalker in. Plague Engineers coming in because we can name, what's it called? Wizard. Took me way too long to think of that. I'm not sure what we take out here. Probably Luminarch Aspirant. It's going to be too slow, I think, versus a deck that's as fast as this. And maybe like a Meddling Mage or 2. I don't think I want to play Dismembers against a deck that is doing what my opponent's deck is doing. So we'll play first. This hand is far too slow. This hand is way too fragile because it relies on Noble Hierarch to do anything. This hand might work, maybe. So the cool thing is we can Phantasmal Image Core Firewalker. So our opponent shouldn't be able to actually target or kill this Phantasmal Image in any way. So as long as I don't derp and target it myself, we should be fine, right? We'll keep 5. I'll put back Freebooter and Thalia's Lieutenant. If this was Auriok Champions, I would consider keeping the Thalia's Lieutenant probably over the Noble Hierarch, but alright, pass the turn. Opponent starts Mountain. Lava Dart. Sure. So we untap, we draw Aether Vial, play Unclaimed Territory, name Soldier, white, play the Firewalker, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, plays a Gitu Lava Runner. Yes, we will gain life. They're stuck on one land. We untap and draw Meddling Mage. I think we just Phantasmal Image here, though. I can Meddling Mage naming Lava Dart, which is pretty nice. Clone Core Firewalker. Attack with Core Firewalker. Hit our opponent for 2. They untap. I guess if they have a Mutagenic Growth, they could kill our Core Firewalker. Clone. Always yes. Always yes. Always. Alright. Opponent goes to combat. Passes. We untap. Draw Cavern. Play Cavern. Name Human. Meddling Mage. We can name Lava Dart. We'd also name Lightning Bolt, but Lava Dart's the only card we know that they actually have at the moment. Then we'll play an Aether Vial. Go to combat. Attack for 2. Keep 1 Core Firewalker back to block. Opponent untaps. Plays a Mountain. Lava Spikes. We lose 1 life. Lights up the stage. We gain 2 life. Opponent hits Lightning Bolt and Soul Scar. Now they can't attack. So we untap. Aether Vial ticking up. We draw an Unclaimed Territory. Go to combat. I think I'm at the point where I'm okay racing a little bit here. Hit our opponent down to 12. Opponent's turn. If they play Soul Scar or Lightning Bolt, we gain 4, then lose 3, then take damage. So I'm not going to block with Meddling Mage. I don't want to unlock Lava Dart for them. I want them to blow removal on Meddling Mage, if at all possible, because we gain life if they do that. Okay, they Lightning Bolt our face. We gain 2, then lose 3. Prowess Trigger. So we're going to go down to 19 here. Then our opponent plays a Soul Scar Mage. We untap. Aether Vial ticking up to 2. We get another Phantasmal Image. So activate Aether Vial. Phantasmal Image. Clone Core Firewalker. Go to combat. I thought we were tribal humans, not tribal core. Hit our opponent for 4. They go down to 8. Your lightning bolts are now futile. Pass the turn. Oh, jeez. And the reason we did that off of Aether Vial rather than cast it is potentially if my opponent had another lightning bolt in hand, they may have cast it in response. Not sure that would have made a difference, but it technically can save us 1 life if my opponent was like, oh, maybe I need to see what it is before casting, you know. All right, we untap. Aether Vial ticking up to 3. We draw an Ancient Ziggurat, go to combat, attack them for 6. I think the only way they would get us is if they could kill Meddling Mage and then untap like Skullcrack first spell into a bunch of bolts or something, but it's not very likely. Yeah. Okay. No further adjustments, just run it back. And you play a whole bunch of core Firewalkers. It's pretty good. We do have to be careful if we try and block with those, any of our protection from red creatures, because my opponent could have Stomp, which would prevent damage from being prevented. So we could lose our core Firewalkers on the block. But alright, it's a little slow, but it should work. Thalia should help slow our opponent down immensely, because they are based pretty heavily in instants and sorceries. Opponent starts Soulscar Mage. We draw an unclaimed territory, so play unclaimed territory, name human, pass the turn. An Aether Vial would have made this hand a lot better, but... Okay, opponent plays a Swift Spear, hits us for 2. If they're stuck on 1 mana, this Thalia is going to do a lot of work. Play an Ancient Ziggurat, play Thalia. If they don't play a second land, the only spell they could conceivably cast would be a Mutagenic Growth, which they might run, because it is aggressive, but they may not. We didn't see it at all game 1 or game 2, and my opponent's not attacking into Thalia, which tells me they're not even going to bluff it. We draw Horizon Canopy, so play Horizon Canopy, and I think I'm just going to play this core, because the sooner this comes down, the better. Alright, pass the turn. Another instance where Auriok Champion would be better, because it could get the buff from the upcoming Thalia's Lieutenant. Alright, opponent plays a Mountain. Alright, opponent goes to combat, they're going to attack. I'm not going to block here. 2 mana Lava Dart. Okay, well, if that's what they're doing, then I will block, just to prevent a little bit of damage. Block here. We take 2. Alright. We untap. We draw an Ancient Ziggurat. Play an unclaimed territory. Name human. Then what we're going to do is play General Kudro and attempt to exile their Lava Dart or force them to cast it. Okay. Pass the turn. They untap. Opponent Lightning Bolts General Kudro. We gain a life. They attack for 4. Well, because they only have 1 mana open, I will block. Alright, we untap. Draw Kitesail Freebooter. So start by freebooting. We at least get an idea of what's in their hand. Lava Spike, Manamorphose, Searing Blood, and Skewer the Critics. Searing Blood does 2 damage, and when that creature dies, 3 damage to that creature's controller. So if I play Thalia's Lieutenant, I could conceivably get around this. I think we take Searing Blood. So these are the last cards in my opponent's hand. The alternative is I could play Plague Engineer and name Wizard. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that because it's a Death Touch creature that we don't really care if it survives or not. Pass the turn. No attacks. We still need the core to block. Alright. Opponent untaps. They Manamorphose to begin. We gain a life. Prowess, Prowess. Manamorphose goes off. Another Swift Spear. We gain a life. Then they could, like, Lava Spike us if they wanted to. But if they cast Lava Spike, they don't have access to Skewer this turn. Alright, they decide not to cast anything with their last bit of mana, and they pass. So we're probably going to start our turn by cracking Horizon Canopy. Unless we draw something particularly good. Okay, we draw a Cavern. So, sack Horizon Canopy. Draw Thalia. So, play Cavern. Name Human. Play Thalia. Then play Thalia's Lieutenant. Go to combat. Attack them for 2 in the air. Opponent goes down to 18. They untap. F6, because we're not going to have responses. Opponent casts a 2-mana Wizard's Lightning to kill Thalia. No attacks. We untap. Draw Silent Clearing. Play Silent Clearing. Sack Silent Clearing. Alright. Go to combat. Hit them for 2 in the air. And then pass. They play a land. They can now hardcast Skewer if they want, which would get them back Searing Blood. Okay, they bolt Kitesail Freebooter. Yes, we will use Core Firewalker's ability. So they get back Searing Blood. And they attack. Trade off Plague Engineer. And I guess just block here. They're probably going to cast Searing Blood so that they keep their Swift Spear. They don't. Interesting. We untap. We draw Freebooter. Play Sunbaked Canyon. Sack it to draw. Another Ancient Ziggurat. Alright, well, attempt to play Freebooter. Which is probably just going to get a Searing Blood. Yep. Okay. Well, that's a card they're not casting on our turn. Always yes, always yield. Same 2 cards in their hand. Pass the turn. We've been drawing a lot of lands in this deck, and I don't know if that's how this deck is supposed to go. I know we play a lot of the Horizon Canopy lands, but it feels like we should be drawing less lands than we are. Okay, well, opponent also drew a land. Then they pass. We untap. Draw Champion. Play Canopy. Sack Canopy. We draw Meddling Mage. Okay, so we're going to play Champion, which will pump the Lieutenant. And we're going to Meddling Mage and name Skewer. Pump our guys. Go to combat. And attack for 4. Opponent goes to 12. They start Manamorphose, we gain a life. Adding red. Play a land, and they have a Lava Spike if they want it, but that's it. Provided we just draw a couple more humans or another Core Firewalker, this game is pretty much just absolutely over. Okay, play Noble. Pump our team. Go to combat. Swing out. They go to 2. And they scoop it up. Alright, I'll see you guys in round 3. Alrighty, welcome back to round 3. Took a break and walked the dog because he needed it. Well, we have a bunch of 2-drops, but this kind of feels like a hand that needs Aether Vial. If we had a 1-drop, like if General Kudro or Reflector Mage was Champion of the Parish, I would probably keep this hand. This hand is fair, but I think mulliganing is correct. Alright, well I can't keep a no-lander. Alright, sure. I'll put back Meddling Mage and Phantasmal Image. We'll start Champion of the Parish and then hopefully draw a second land so that we can play Champion and Noble. Opponent starts Elvish Mystic, so they're probably Elves. Play Unclaimed Territory, name Human. And play Champion. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a Windswept Heath. Cracks Windswept Heath. Gets a Forest. and plays a Realm Walker. Okay, we draw planes. So play a planes, play a Champion of the Parish, and play a Noble Hierarch. Go to combat and attack for 3. Well, 4 because of Exalted. Opponent untaps. Next turn, if Noble Hierarch survives, which it should, we have the option of Reflector Mage or Thalia's Lieutenant. If my opponent plays an Elvish Archdruid or another, like, multiple mana tapping elf, I'm probably going to Reflector Mage it. Okay, they collected company. This card really is just an elf, isn't it? Isn't this a box topper for the Kaldheim set? Like, you have to... I don't know, hang on. Alright, they get a Dwinnen's Elite and a Heritage Druid. So Heritage Druid can allow them to instantly create mana right now. And they do. So our opponent's Elves deck is going to go wide, and we're going to probably go tall. Okay, we draw an Aether Vial. So white, blue, green. Play Reflector Mage, bounce Archdruid, pump our champions, go to combat, and attack for 7. So they can't replay Archdruid, but they still can make tons of mana. And really, as long as they leave back blockers, we're probably just screwed. We can play Thalia's Lieutenant and then get in with a real big attack, but... Elvish War Master. It's kind of like another Dwinnen's Elite, but it also has an Anthem ability stapled onto it. So, Nettle Sentinel Heritage Druid is a lot of mana, effectively reducing the cost of tapping that, or tapping with Heritage Druid to from tap 3 elves to tap 2 elves. We don't have a Mantis Rider or anything we can sneak in over the top of the elves with. Alright, opponent plays another Realm Walker. Yeah, so this kind of looks like Experimental Frenzy to me, but it's also on a tribal elf that's only 3 mana and requires only green. That seems really good in elves. Just, you know, just looking at it. Alright, we untap. We draw Thalia. I think we just play Thalia's Lieutenant and Aether Vial, but... we are probably not going to be able to do enough damage here. I mean, the good news is our opponent basically has to block everything we attack with every turn, so maybe we can stop them from achieving critical mass. But they've already kind of elf-balled, so... Alright, opponent chumps, and takes 3. Well, if we draw Mantis Rider, we can, in theory, kill them, but... play an Aether Vial. Pass the turn. Nurturing Peatland makes them lose a life down to 2. And then they play a Shaman of the Pack, so we lose a ton of life. 10 to be precise. But my opponent is at 1, and we have 5 attackers. They play Archdruid. They also didn't tap Nettle Sentinel, which I think was kind of interesting. We're still basically at Mantis Rider or bust. They play a second Archdruid. Alright, Mantis Rider off the top 1 time. Never mind, we're dead. My brain forgot they could attack. How clever of them. Okay, so versus elves. Probably want Dismember, probably want Plague Engineer, and probably want Skyclave Apparitions. The question is, what do we take out? Kitesail Freebooter can hit Collected Company, but honestly I don't think we're going to need it. Luminarch Aspirant once again striking me as far too slow. Since they're green-black, we could actually play Magus, but they can just make mana of whatever color they're going to need anyway, off of their elves and stuff, so probably not. Yeah, I think we're going to play like this. So if we play Meddling Mage, we either name... we're probably going to name Collected Company. Unless we've Reflector Maged something and know that they're going to play a card that we can't deal with. So double Aether Vial is great, but we don't have a lot of aggression. This is probably still okay. We need to top deck not lands, though. And our opponent will probably have Rex Sage, almost certainly, so... Play an Aether Vial, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Llanowar Elves off of a Overgrown Tomb, Aether Vial ticking up. We draw another Aether Vial. Play an Ancient Ziggurat. Play another Aether Vial, pass the turn. Triple Aether Vial hand, not really what you want to see. Especially not when you can't play all three on turn 2. Okay, opponent plays a Dwynen's Elite. Okay, we untap. I wouldn't mind a land to just play out Reflector Mage here. We get a Dismember. Play another Aether Vial. Oh, shoot. Actually, I should have... I can't Dismember. For some reason, I was like, oh yeah, I can still Dismember. I cannot. So, opponent did draw a land, so it's not like it matters. And Dismember can probably hit, like, an Elvish Archdruid or something like that now that my opponent has 3 mana. Okay, Elvish Warmaster. Another Elvish Mystic, giving them a 1/1. So we untap, uptick all 3 Aether Vials. Draw a second Silent Clearing. So play Silent Clearing. I'm going to Vial in Mantis Rider. Oh, I should have Vialed in Thalia's Lieutenant and Vialed in Mantis Rider in response. That was a mistake. So... Alright, go to combat, attack for 4. We can Dismember in response to a spell if the token off of Warmaster matters, but likely Dismember is going to be saved for a big Elf Lord or a Heritage Druid, probably. Okay, opponent has their own Dismember. I can't stop this. I could try and draw, but there's no 1-drop we could get that would do anything. Opponent plays a Scavenging Ooze. Not really sure why. Alright, opponent's passing. I'm going to sack a Silent Clearing to draw. We get a Cavern. Untap. Okay, we're not ticking up the 1 on 3. I will tick up the 1 on 2, and then I will tick up the 1 on 1. We draw Thalia. So play Cavern, name Human. We can do everything at instant speed, so we're just going to pass. Opponent untaps. Elves is one of the decks that I want to play. I was actually thinking about playing it today, and I was like, nope, need to record Tryharding. I'm sure it's good, but I don't know if it's actually meta, so that's what's supposed to be Tryharding, anyway. That's what I'm supposed to be doing during Tryharding as a meta deck. Alright, see what our opponent does. Nothing. Sack Silent Clearing. Get a Meddling Mage. So I'm going to Vial in Thalia, Pump Lieutenant, and then I'm going to Vial in Reflector Mage, I think? No, there's no reason to. Even if we draw another 3-drop, we can play both. So Aether Vials on 3. We're not upping any of our Aether Vials. We draw Champion. So play Champion. I used the wrong land, because now I can't Dismember. Ugh! That was a mistake immediately. Pass the turn. Oh, I should have Meddling Maged Coco. So because my opponent cracked a land after floating their mana, I can just Vial in Meddling Mage, name Collected Company. Hopefully that disrupts them. That play strikes me as rude. Okay. Yeah, because they needed 5 mana because of Thalia. That was excellent. Alright, opponent plays an Elvish Archdruid, Elvish Warmaster, giving them a token. They play another Dwynen's Elite, getting another token. So if we Reflector Mage on their end step, they can replay Elvish Archdruid immediately. If we cast it on our turn, or Vial it in on our turn, they have to wait a whole turn. Okay, still no to everything. We draw a Phantasmal Image. So Violin, Reflector Mage. Pump our guys, bounce here. And I think we start attacking. Because we can Violin a Phantasmal Image to either Anthem our guys, bounce another creature. And like they have to block, because this is a lethal attack otherwise. We have Dismember as well, because I didn't tap Cavern. So opponent, gonna try and kill the Meddling Mage. They triple block the champion. They chump Thalia's Lieutenant. Yeah, this is fine. This is a complete blowout to Phantasmal Image here. Because we clone Thalia's Lieutenant. And we just kill everything. Okay, pass the turn. We still have Dismember, and our opponent can't play the Archdruid they're holding this turn. Or the Collected Company that they're presumably holding. That was a good Meddling Mage play. I didn't even see it until it was happening either, so I'd like to say I planned that, but I'm not that good at this game. The opponent plays a Realm Walker, so the instant they cast anything, we dismember that immediately with extreme prejudice. Because our opponent getting to play Elves off the top of their deck probably is a bit too... So opponent is upping their Scavenging Ooze. This is fine. They gain a life. They're just tapping themselves out of blockers by doing this. I think I gave away that I'm holding a Dismember, though. They play a Nettle Sentinel. Okay. Well, they're out of mana. No need to Dismember right now. We can just pass to our next turn, not uptick any of our vials. See what we draw. Another Thalia's Lieutenant. Well, in that case, I think I am going to Dismember Realm Walker and then just swing with the whole team. Oh, I can't Dismember because I have Thalia. Well, I'm still swinging with the whole team, so go to combat. Attack with everybody. And we can either clone Reflector Mage... Or no, we can't, never mind. I was thinking for some reason I drew a Phantasmal Image. I've got a Thalia's Lieutenant. So they chump, they chump. They chump with Nettle Sentinel. They actually double block. And then they chump Reflector Mage. So we do want to kill Realm Walker. We kill everything else that's blocking. We lose Meddling Mage and give them access to Collected Company. Yeah, okay. So Violin Thalia's Lieutenant. Pump the entire team in a whole bunch of different ways. Alright. We get them. Do we change what we're doing at all in any way? Probably not. Just run it back. We have to be careful about Thalia Dismember. An Ancient Ziggurat specifically. Okay, we cannot play Aether Vial with this hand, but we do have Noble Hierarch. So, I mean, we can play it off of Noble. I'm going to try and start Noble, unless I draw a non-Ziggurat land, at which point I will play Aether Vial. Opponent did mulligan to 6. Start Forest to Dork. We untap. We draw a Silent Clearing, so Silent Clearing, play Aether Vial, pass the turn. Next turn we can play Champion, double Noble, and swing for a lot. Well, not, it can't swing, but, you know. Champion double Noble is pretty aggressive. Okay, opponent plays a Dwinnen's Elite, getting an Elf, and another Dork. We untap, take Aether Vial up to 1. Alright, here's a question. Should we actually play Thalia and maybe disrupt them from playing a Collected Company for a turn? I think the answer to that is actually yes. So Violin Champion, play Thalia. So they have to have land and Collected Company if they're going to Collected Company. 3 mana, opponent plays Realm Walker. And another Llanowar Elves. Okay, we untap, take Aether Vial up to 2. Kind of want to draw a land here. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have ticked Aether Vial up to 2. I maybe should have kept it on 1 for a turn. Play a Champion. Pump Champion. Play a Noble. Pump Champions. Go to combat. Attack for 5. They chump. Okay. Pass the turn. Hopefully, if my opponent does have like a big lord of some kind, we can Skyclave Apparition a high-value target. Okay. Izuri counts. This does mean no Coco this turn, which is good. Okay, we untap. Take Aether Vial up to 3. Draw another Noble. Activate Vial. Use its ability. Skyclave Apparition. Hit Izuri. Opponent can regen some blockers, I think, in response if they wanted, but they did not. We can either play 2 Nobles and attack with a Great Big Champion, Or we can play Mantis Rider and just hit them in the air and on the ground, because our guys on the ground are going to be big. I think because we have 2 champions of the parish, we're going to play 2 nobles. Go to combat. My opponent could double block this champion. I think in that case, we just attack with champion of the parish. Like, our bigger one. They're going to chump. But, I guess they would have had to give up Realm Walker, which is their current competitive advantage to double block. So we probably should have swung with both. But they do chump with a Mana Dork, which is promising, because that means they're still out of Collected Company mana now. Unless they're top-decking a land, which case they would know that because of Realm Walker. They did draw land. They play another Azuri and pass. We untap. Aether Vial stays on 3. We draw an Ancient Ziggurat, which we cannot use to crack Silent Clearing, unfortunately. So our options are swinging in the air for 6, or attacking on the ground for a lot, and in the air for 3, which I think we're going to do that. Azuri's not a problem as long as they don't have a huge mana production ability. I mean, not really a problem anyway. So Vial and a Mantis Rider. Oh, actually I should have used a Noble to sack Silent Clearing first. But... yeah, yep, that was a mistake. Well, I can still play the Reflector Mage, which matters, because now I can just make them unsummon Azuri, while also making the rest of my team huge. My opponent could regen, like, Dwinin's Elite Realm Walker and have 2 blockers, which is probably what they're doing here. At which point, we just attack in the air for 6, because there's no reason to attack into blocks that don't do anything. Okay, triple Exalted. Opponent untaps. Well, we stopped them from getting a bunch of mana, which is what Elf Ball excels at and needs to win, so hopefully... Opponent is holding Azuri, 1 unknown. The unknown is Elvish Archdruid. No, they played that off the top of their deck. They still have 2 cards in hand. They crack Windswept Heath for a forest, presumably to shuffle the top card of their library. They play another Dwinin's Elite. I mean, I kind of would like another Reflector Mage, or some way to deal with this Archdruid. Skyclave Apparition would count. Aether Vial stays on 3. Okay, there's a Skyclave Apparition. So we'll go ahead and do that. Skyclave Apparition, hit Archdruid. Shrink my opponent's whole team. Go to combat. Attack, 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 attack. Well, I guess I should keep Reflector Mage back on the off chance that I draw a Phantasmal Image and need to Reflector Mage Azuri again. My opponent does have to do a little bit of chumping here. I think they only officially have to chump 1 creature to stay alive, which is probably what they're going to do. Okay, opponent decides to chump a 2nd creature. They take 3 and go to 9. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Dwinin's Elite off the top of their deck, I think. No, that was out of hand, actually. Then they play Azuri. They go to 8. Okay, Aether Vial, sticking on 3. We draw another Mantis Rider, which is the same amount of damage as just attacking with 1 Mantis Rider. But we are going to be attacking on the ground as well, so go to combat. Cool. We won the match. Humans greater than sign elves. Alright, cool. See you guys in round 4. Alright, round 4. This seems like a really good hand. So we'll keep. The only thing is, obviously, Cavern naming human gives away what we are, but there's no chance to hide information with this hand, but that's okay. Actually, if I got an unclaimed territory, it might be funny to name Spirit. And then, like... because it would help us cast Skyclave Apparition. And then that might throw them off and force them to play a little bit different. Because humans and spirits have very different openers. But against Burn, or Death Shadow, this probably wouldn't make a difference. Probably. So it looks like my opponent did mulligan to 6. It's been a couple minutes, and my opponent hasn't done anything. They've disconnected. I just now got the notification. Alright then. Hopefully they come back. Alright, unfortunately my opponent disconnected and never came back, so we win the match, and I'll see you guys in round 5. In the business, we like to call that the meteorite victory, because the only explanation for your opponent suddenly losing connection and disappearing is that their current location was struck by a meteorite. Alrighty, round 5, here we go. Or not. Alrighty, round 5, here we go. For real this time. Well, I mean, we got Aether Vial, so we're gonna keep this hand. Hopefully this works. Opponent starts Blackleaf Cliffs into an Aether Vial. Interesting. I'm gonna start Plains into Aether Vial. Maybe they'll think we're Death and Taxes and play slightly differently or suboptimally against humans. I'm trying to think of what deck plays Blackleaf Cliffs and Aether Vial. Okay, goblins. That makes sense. My mind was like, slivers? No, that can't be right. Alright, so my opponent has a Goblin Crater Maker. We unfortunately do not draw a 1-drop. So I guess we're just going to play Luminarch Aspirant and let it start ticking up on itself. Pass the turn. Problem is, Crater Maker can take out our Aether Vial, which would be a huge problem for us. We do have a Skyclave Apparition. So potentially we could deal with at least one annoying permanent. Alright, opponent has a Munitions Expert. Problem is, our opponent's deck has a lot more cheap interactivity with Munitions Experts and stuff like that. They hit us for 2. If they blow up our Aether Vial, we're going to Skyclave Apparition their Aether Vial. Alright, Unclaimed Territory. Play Ancient Ziggurat. Skyclave Apparition. Take out Aether Vial. Pass the turn. I would really, really like to start drawing some creatures. I think that would be great. Okay, opponent plays a Goblin Matron. Let's see what they reveal. A Ringleader. Okay, they will be able to play Ringleader next turn. We untap, draw Phantasmal Image. So, play an Ancient Ziggurat. The question is, do we attack? If we attack, my opponent could trade both of their creatures to kill our creature. I could Phantasmal Image first and take out, like, a 2-drop and then attack. Or I could play Thalia's Lieutenant and then Phantasmal Image Thalia's Lieutenant. I think I attack here, because leaving them with just a random 1/1 illusion is fine. Lowering their number of goblins for like a potential Goblin Lord is probably worth the attempt here. Okay, play Thalia's Lieutenant. The question is, do we Phantasmal Image Thalia's Lieutenant? I think we leave Phantasmal Image in hand for the moment. In theory, if we draw any creature, we can play it and then play Phantasmal Image and make a more informed decision next turn. The problem is, whatever Phantasmal Image copies won't be able to attack immediately, which is probably okay. Okay, opponent plays Goblin Ringleader. They get Matron Munitions Expert in hand. Then they attack for 2, that's fine. No blocks. Munitions Expert is pretty annoying. We untap, we get a Thalia. So play Thalia. Counter on Thalia's Lieutenant. Play Phantasmal Image, copying Thalia's Lieutenant. Pump the team. I guess we're going to try and go aggro here. Attack for 6, take them to 10. Unclaimed Territory, name Human. Pass the turn. Okay, Munitions Expert. Kills our big guy. Then they pass. We untap. We draw another Thalia's Lieutenant. Which, I mean, I guess we're just going to play. Go to combat. Swing with the team. Okay, opponent trades off Ringleader. Chumps with Matron. They take 3, then they get a 1/1. We're going to hold Unclaimed Territory in hand. Not sure what I could be bluffing right now. because I did tap the plains. And I should have left up the plains, that way I could like pluff a Path to Exile, but I wouldn't mind a Mantis Rider here. General Kudrow could be good, just for pumping the whole team. Okay, opponent plays an Auntie's Hovel, revealing Goblin Matron. They probably play Matron, get Snoop, and then play Snoop. So, they play their Matron, they get a Munitions Expert. They immediately play the Munitions Expert, and snipe down Thalia. Okay. They attack with the Illusion and a Munitions Expert. And the other Munitions Expert. Sure, that's fine. No blocks. Take 3. We untap. We draw a Silent Clearing. So play it. Cycle it. Go to combat. Attack for 3. Okay, opponent chumps. Pass the turn. I think the worst thing in the world here would be as if our opponent played a Kiki. Because then they could just keep Munitions Experting every single turn until they got the infinite combo and just won on the spot. So we need to top deck a human and then cycle Silent Clearing into a human and then play both. That's what needs to happen here. Lots of tribal decks today. We played against elves. We played against goblins. We're playing humans. I think the only one we missed is spirits. And then I guess either merfolk or slivers for the for the final match. But alright, opponent plays a Skirk Prospector. A Sling Gang Lieutenant. Pretty sure that does it. I don't think we can actually beat that. They attack us for 3, and then they could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Yeah, we can't actually beat that Sling Gang Lieutenant. Especially not by drawing lands, but a valiant effort. Mantis Rider does not do it. Play Mantis Rider and swing, because, I mean, why not? Maybe my opponent messes up. Not likely, but in theory possible. They get an F6 through their blockers phase or something. So opponent chumps and chumps, pings us twice. We hit them for 3, down to 6. They swing and then sack. Okay. So, versus goblins. I do want Auriok Champion, I want my Skyclave Apparitions, and Plague Engineer for sure. Core Firewalker, probably not. That's kind of a strictly burn thing. Auriok Champion does have a little bit of utility. I'm going to drop 2 Kitesail Freebooters, because I don't think they're very good in this matchup. I'll drop 1 General Kudrow, and then 1 Luminarch Aspirant. Actually, I'm going to cut the other Luminarch Aspirant and bring in the Kitesail Freebooter. There's always a chance we could get like a Bolter or something, I guess. Maybe the Luminarch Aspirant's still better than the Kitesail Freebooter, now that I'm thinking about it. Let's try like this. Alright, I'd like to play first. Double Noble does make this hand actually playable, but it is risky. We'll try it out. Start Ziggurat, play Noble. If we can top deck a land, we're in a way better position. Opponent starts Bloodstained Mire and passes. We untap, draw Cavern. Cavern's great. Play Cavern, name Human. Now we can either play Noble, Thalia's Lieutenant, or Thalia and then Noble. Let's play Thalia. Yeah, let's play Thalia. Okay. Opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire for Blood Crypt untapped. This probably means Lightning Bolt. Or Fatal Push. Float a green. Thalia resolves. Play Noble. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Auntie's Hovel, revealing Conspicuous Snoop. Plays a Munitions Expert, pinging down Thalia. Okay, that sucks. We draw Cavern, name Human. So we can play a Mantis Rider, or we can play Thalia's Lieutenant and Phantasmal Image Thalia's Lieutenant. I think we just play Mantis Rider this turn. White, blue, red. Go to combat, hit them for 4. Because we can make Mantis Rider actually huge with 2 Thalia's Lieutenants. Opponent plays Conspicuous Snoop, showing they have Conspicuous Snoop on top of their deck. They're missing land drops, which is great for us. So, play Thalia's Lieutenant. Pump the team. Phantasmal Image. Thalia's Lieutenant. Pump the team. Go to combat. Hit them for 6 in the air. They go to 7. They draw Conspicuous Snoop. They play they have an Aether Vial on top of their deck. They play a Boggart Harbinger, and we die. Wow! Wow! Yep. Well, that's a tribal deck with a Splinter Twin finish. And we were a turn away from killing them. Well, we got a treasure chest, so we get to open that up. And we win our entry back, at least. So, Treasure chest number 1 and only one, we get 5 play points, an Archon of Justice, and a Tome of the Guild Pact. Okay. Let's take a look at this deck really quick. I'm not by any means a humans expert. I don't generally play tribal decks like this, but this deck, its best hands feel insane, because like if you like curve a champion into a freebooter and you take your opponent's play and then you see their hand and then you play a meddling mage and then you play a lord, like and you just like disrupt what they do all the way up the chain while building a board presence, you kill them quickly and it feels great. Like Noble Hierarch, Aether Vial, it feels really strong. It's a little bit weird because we have so many non-humans in the deck, and it would have been better if I had Auriok Champion. There were several situations where Auriok Champion is strictly better than Core Firewalker. Most of them involved Thalia's Lieutenant token, or +1/+1 counters. So just, be aware of that. If you're going to build this deck, you probably want the Auriok Champions. It was a little bit awkward at times, mainly because I kept drawing lands, which is just something that I think if you play a tribal deck like this, you're just going to have to live with. And I'm not a huge fan of that. The numbers on particular creatures feel weird. I do not like Luminarch Aspirant. Now, a humans expert, if there is one, if all you play is humans and you're watching this video and you're like, Kano, you're dumb, just do this and you would have won. Like, obviously, like, I'm not an expert, so please feel free to weigh in the comments below and tell me what I did wrong. But Luminarch Aspirant strikes me as not great. I mean, yeah, it's probably good in a situation where you're like stacking up a Mantis Rider or putting more 1/1 counters on a champion. And I understand that this deck plays a lot with 1/1 counters and stuff. Or even a Kitesail Freebooter because it's a flying, 1/2. But let me know what I did wrong, if I did anything wrong, and let me know what I can improve. But Luminarch Aspirant strikes me as a card that, like, we probably should just have a 4th Thalia and a 4th Kitesail Freebooter. I like Skyclave Apparition. I am sad that it is not a human, or that there's not a human equivalent effect, because like Reflector Mage is like the next best thing. And losing out on having the ability to pump that 3-mana creature felt a little awkward. I don't know, like Skyclave Apparition is really good because, we can hit our opponent's Aether Vials, we can hit Planeswalkers, we can hit a lot of threatening non-creature permanents, but I don't know. It's really weird having to run non-human creatures in a human tribal deck. Same thing with like Plague Engineer, because there was a hand where like between Core Firewalker, Plague Engineer, and Skyclave Apparition, I wasn't even playing humans for like a whole game. So I don't know. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few have been earlier. And, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. You're all wonderful human beings. Thanks for watching, and we just broke 700 subscribers today, so big fan of that. My brain's ceasing to function right now. So I'm going to go make more coffee and get on with the rest of my day. Bye!